Right now we're here at the Brewers Union, and this is like a good starting point for breweries. A lot of breweries here in Oklahoma City have started out here as like a co-op where you can brew your beer, package it, get it sent out. We do have the tap room where you can come try the beer, but the main thing is just start kind of getting your brand going while you either raise money or build out your new location or whatever. And so we've been in here for 2 years. That's a year longer than I thought we'd be in here as far as our plan goes. COVID obviously set us back a little bit, but the next step is this February-ish, March, is we'll have a new location open in downtown Oklahoma City in Automobile Alley. It'll be just our location with a nice tap room, patio space, a restaurant next door that'll serve food in our tap room, bigger production system in the back so we can do even more stuff out in distribution. And so that'll be the new home of Skydance. And then, you know, our plan after that, once we get that open and we get to kind of breathe a little bit for a minute, then immediately our goal is to see if we can't, and we've had some talks, but we want to see if we can't partner with a tribe and put a brewery in a casino somewhere, like a brew pub. So, I mean, we're Oklahoma's Native American craft brewery. We're the first Native American owned brewery in Oklahoma City. So all of our branding, beer names, all of that stuff is meant to pay tribute to our culture and our heritage. So for us, it's all about, we know that Native Americans are not represented enough in business, in retail, like on the shelves, that kind of stuff. And then obviously our culture and history for a lot of people is kind of a mystery, or it's interpreted the wrong way. So our deal is we are using craft beer as just a way for us to tell the story, to tell our story, to inform people of our culture, and you know, show people that we are a people of today and not just people of history that you saw in black and white pictures in some history book. When I was a kid, my dad was a home brewer, and he would make beer in the house. I would mess with it when he wasn't paying attention, and I'd mess his beer up. So he figured he should show me a little bit about it so that I could know what was really happening and know what not to do with it, not to touch it. And I was just hooked. And it's like my son said when he was real little and started helping me brew, it's like you've got this grain and all this stuff that's sitting in a bucket, and the next thing you know, it turns into something in somebody's glass. And my son was just always saying, man, it's like magic. Making beer is something I've always been into. Craft beer I've always been into. And you know, it was a dream that me and my dad would talk about, like opening a brewery one day. And he passed away at a pretty young age, and I decided that, long story short, is I decided I needed to open our brewery that we always dreamed about. Our deal is to tell stories. So like we have our beers. So for instance, Fancy Dance is our #1 beer, right? And when, as natives, the words Fancy Dance is just second nature. Like we all know what Fancy Dance is. But when we made that beer and we had the cans sitting out, or the name was on a menu somewhere, and people see Fancy Dance, non-natives, when they see Fancy Dance, you'd be surprised at just how many of them have no idea what the connection is to Native Americans. And so when they come into our tap room, especially when we build our own location and turn that into a place for people to have our beer and to learn our culture, like it's an opportunity for us to tell the story. We put stories on the side of our cans to explain the beer names, but it's an opportunity for us to inform people of what Fancy Dance is, what Res Dog is. We have a beer called Sovereign Nation. Like, why is sovereignty so important to us? These are all opportunities for us to talk to people and share our stories with them and explain stuff to them, because a lot of people, even though we're in Oklahoma and everybody, non-natives included, have some sort of history with Native Americans. You know, we've all lived together in this state forever. Even though you have that, there's still so many people that have no idea what the real meaning behind some of these aspects of our culture really are. In everything that I do with my business, the podcast, all the stuff that we do, like this is probably the most important issue for me, because I feel like as natives we're constantly struggling to find our place in like this big world, the white world or the United States, and we're trying to find our place in it. And so I think unfortunately we have a lot of our youth that will grow up around just in their little area, around their tribe. Natives we're all super like family oriented, so not a lot of us leave where we came from. So like we do get stuck in that, like I'm gonna go work in the casino, right? Or become dependent on the tribe through some of our social programs that we have that maybe sometimes lend towards us becoming dependent on that stuff. But a lot of times we also grow up, and this is kind of what held me back in the beginning, is the mindset part of it, right? It's like if you don't see people like you achieving things, whether it's starting a business or whatever, then it puts a thing in your head that makes you think you can't really do it, or it would just be way too hard to do it, almost impossible to do it. And so like for me, I grew up in a trailer mobile home in Little Axe, Oklahoma, and the idea of some CEO or an owner of a business was like some guy at the top of the Devon Tower over here with a suit and tie, that was never going to be me, right? And I think a lot of our native youth feel that way. We also have a mindset of, unfortunately, because of the things that have happened in our history, this mindset is passed down to us by our elders that this world is not meant for us to be successful. Like there's this system keeping us from being successful, and some of that's true, some of that aspect is there, but it doesn't mean we can't overcome it. Like those aspects are there to make it difficult, but you know what, I'm here to tell you, for every entrepreneur I know, it's been difficult for everybody, non-native, native, everybody. And so I think if people can see our brand on the shelf at Walmart and see a Native American owned company from Oklahoma, and then they can hear my story of where I come from and who I am and the stories about my Iowa people, and they can see that, wow, this guy has this product on a shelf at Walmart. Like if he can do it, I can do it.